I remember the first time I heard that line, "A goal is a dream with a deadline." It landed in me like a pebble in still water. The circles spread, and before I knew it, a quiet current had begun to move the small things I did every day. I studied that current, followed its path, and discovered 5 steps that transformed scattered intentions into concrete results. Tonight, I will tell them to you, in the plainest language I know, because the way you say something matters less than the way you do it each day. Step 1. Decide a single clear goal. For years, I let my ambitions multiply until they crowded out each other. I would wake with a dozen shoulds and fall asleep with none of them accomplished. Then I learned the economy of attention. Choose one. Make it specific. Give it a deadline. Say it in the present tense, as if it were already true. The difference between "I want to be successful" and "I earn $2,000 a month from freelance work by December 1st" is not grammar, it's direction. One sentence narrows the mind's aim. It organizes behavior. If you carry a thought like a compass, you will find the paths you need to walk. But deciding is not a whim. It must carry a reason, a palpable why that keeps the decision from dissolving when life gets noisy. My why was never grandiose. It was practical. I wanted the security to wake without fear, to be able to say yes to a small freedom each month. Attach a reason that matters to you. It will act as bedrock when the first setbacks arrive. When I speak of a single clear goal, I do not mean an airy aspiration written on a sticky note. I mean a sentence that answers 6 quiet questions. Who benefits? What exactly changes? How will you measure success? When will it be complete? What price are you willing to pay? Why does it matter now? Stop for 30 seconds and answer those 6 items on one line. Welcome back. Now fold those answers into one sentence. If your sentence sounds complicated, simplify. Keep the measurable core. For instance, by November 1st, I earn $3,000 monthly from freelance design clients so I can reduce my hours at my day job. That sentence holds a result, a date, and a motive. It becomes the lodestar of the days that follow. A frequent objection is, what if I'm unsure? What if I change my mind? Good. Change happens. The point is to practice decisive selection. Think of choosing a goal as choosing a direction for a season, not forever. You can revise at the end of a quarter with the intelligence you gathered. Indecision is often just fear wearing many costumes. Naming a direction dispels much of that fear. Step 2. Create daily outcomes, not vague tasks. Once I had a single goal, I stopped making lists of ambitions and began to write 3 daily outcomes. Outcomes are concrete. Send 5 pitches, write 500 words, make 3 follow-up calls. They are not work on project or be productive. Those phrases let the day drift. Outcomes force decisions. They convert intention into accomplishment. I learned to treat the daily outcomes like small contracts with myself. Each morning I wrote them in the present tense and treated each as non-negotiable. At first it felt rigid and almost cruel to my leisurely habits. But habits are the architecture of a life. Small choices repeated become the structure you live inside. If you do these outcomes faithfully for 30 days, you will have done more than most people manage in a year. The trick is to keep the outcomes small enough to be achievable and large enough to move the needle. Writing 3 outcomes is not enough unless those outcomes are frictionless. Test outcomes against 2 filters, time and specificity. If a task can be started within 2 minutes, it beats procrastination. If it's specific, you know when it's done. Replace work on marketing with send 3 personalized pitches to prospects A, B, C in 25 minutes. Replace build habit with open my work file and type the first headline. Write one outcome you can start immediately and complete within that time. Start. How did that feel? Often the first action is the hardest. The 25-minute rule moves you past inertia into motion. Another tactic I used: sequence outcomes so completion creates momentum. If outcome 1 is small and easy and outcome 2 is slightly harder, completing 1 primes your brain for 2. Design your 3 outcomes as a graded ladder, not 3 mountains. Step 3. Program the subconscious. There is a quieter, invisible work beneath habits, the steady programming of the mind. I listened to those old lectures and realized they were not merely exhortations but instructions for repeated thought. The thoughts you feed will guide your attention and your actions. So I adopted a simple practice: a short affirmation and a vivid 2-minute visualization each morning. The affirmation is a declarative sentence about the goal, spoken in present tense. The visualization places you into the finished scene, not abstractly, but in detail. The way the morning light falls on your desk, the name on a signed invoice. You might think this sounds mystical. It is not. It is rehearsal. The brain rehearses outcomes and primes behavior. Saying your sentence aloud, imagining the results, and feeling the emotion of success trains your mind to notice opportunities and to take small actions that align with the end you seek. I also paired this with a simple recording of my own voice. I played it back on days when doubt crept in. Hearing the conviction of your own voice can be the rudest, most effective truth you will face. The affirmation and visualization are the core ritual, but rituals need scaffolding. For me, the ritual included micro-cues tied to daily life. The moment I made coffee, I spoke the sentence. When I sat to write, I played my short recorded line. Rituals must interrupt routine so they become memorable anchors. If you always stop at the same light to check your phone, use that stop to say your sentence instead. If you commute, play your affirmation on the way and imagine the successful scene in detail for 90 seconds. Do this micro-lab with me now. Write a 1-line affirmation in present tense. Now imagine one tiny sensory detail of the finished scene. The weight of a contract in your mailbox, the tone of a client's voice, the number on a bank screen. Tie the sensory detail to the affirmation and repeat it 5 times now. That sensory tether makes the mental rehearsal visceral. The brain prefers particular images. It uses them to guide attention. There is also a tempering truth. Affirmations without action are harmless liars. They must be married to outcomes. The ritual primes action. The actions confirm reality. If you discover your visualization feels implausible, shrink the image until it feels believable. Believability matters. Your mind will only act on what it accepts as possible. Step 4. Track 1 key metric weekly. Measure what matters. I once tried to track everything: hours worked, pages edited, emails sent, and drowned in numbers. Then I learned to choose one metric that truly signaled progress toward my single goal. For income goals, it might be proposals sent or conversations had. For creative goals, it might be words completed or chapters finished. The point is not to quantify everything. It is to make the invisible visible. Every week I wrote that number down and asked 3 simple questions. What worked this week? What failed? What will I change next week? Those questions forced reflection and adjustment. They turned hope into a plan of action. When progress stagnated, the metric showed where the leak was. When progress accelerated, the metric revealed which behavior to repeat. Over months, the weekly number becomes a ledger of your discipline. It takes the guesswork out of so-called talent and makes improvement a matter of method. Choosing a single weekly metric simplifies decisions, but the real skill is reading that metric as information rather than as judgment. When a number is lower than you hoped, do not punish yourself, diagnose. Ask, did I do the outcomes? Were my outcomes the right ones? Did I misestimate time or audience? You must become a detective, not a jury. Keep a running note of hypotheses next to your metric. Hypothesis, cold emails aren't personal enough. The next week experiment with personalization and compare. Let me give you an example of useful metrics for different goals. If your goal is income, track conversions or proposals accepted. If your goal is creative output, track publishable units. If your goal is fitness, track consistent sessions completed, not just hours logged. Make your metric visible every morning. Treat it like a dashboard reading. If it moves, consider what action came just before. If it stalls, consider what action you will change. Small experiments weekly compound rapidly. Step 5. Build a feedback loop and accountability. Now here is the lever most people miss. Social friction. There is a peculiar practical power in telling one person your plan, then reporting to them. Far from being performative, this is a tool. I would post a brief weekly note to a small group, or tell a friend the single vivid sentence of my goal and promise to report back. The small discomfort of public knowledge becomes a steady pressure that keeps laziness honest. Combine that public pact with the daily outcomes and the weekly metric, and you have a loop. Do the outcomes. Measure the result. Report the result. The loop forces correction and rewards persistence. I have seen timid goals grow teeth overnight under the pressure of accountability. People will tell you they prefer to work alone, and some do. But those who last learn to use other minds as mirrors and brakes. If you are resistant to public accountability, start small. Tell one person. One witness often makes the difference between a promise and a pattern. Design your weekly accountability as a short ritual. A one-line metric, one sentence about what worked, and one sentence about the next week's micro-experiments. Nothing else. Keep it under 60 seconds to preserve consistency. The easier it is to report, the more likely you will report. Consistent reporting creates a feedback rhythm that the brain learns to honor. Now I will address 3 objections I hear most often, directly and briefly. Objection 1, I don't have time. Everyone says this until they count minutes. You do have time. The question is priority. I ask people to reuse small fragments, a 2-minute affirmation, a 25-minute outcome block, a 5-minute Sunday review. Those fragments add up. Built into your day, they do not consume it. They order it. Objection 2. I tried similar systems and failed. Systems fail for 2 reasons. They are too complex, or they lack attachment to a real why. Simplify ruthlessly. Pick the smallest possible outcomes and reconnect to your reason. A small committed practice is better than a grand system you never use. Objection 3. This won't work for me because my field is different. The steps are abstract because human attention is universal. Whether you build a business, finish a book, or learn a craft, attention needs direction, repetition, rehearsal, measurement, and social friction. Translate the language. Outcomes for artists might be complete 1 composition segment. For founders, talk to 3 potential customers. The skeleton is the same. Flesh it with your specifics. I want to give you now a compact, 1-month plan so you can take these steps and test them as an integrated method. Follow it and report back. A 4-week plan. Week 1. Clarify and launch. Day 1. Write your single-sentence goal. Speak it aloud. Days 2 to 7. Each morning, write 3 outcomes. Each evening, check them off. Record your affirmation once every day. Week 2. Build rhythm, continue daily outcomes. Choose your single weekly metric and record it Sunday. Identify 1 person to tell and send them your sentence on Monday. Week 3. Experiment and refine. Run 1 small experiment on one of your outcomes. Change messaging. Alter schedule. Note the effect on your weekly metric. Short weekly review. What worked? What failed? What I'll change. Week 4. Consolidate and commit. Keep the rhythm. Increase one outcome difficulty slightly. Publish a 60-second public update of your metric and next week's plan. Reflect on the month and set the next month's refined target. If you follow that plan honestly, you will not be the same at the end of the month. I cannot promise miracles, only a method that yields information and momentum. Momentum is the only kind of magic that scales. Before I close, a practical note on interruptions. Life will collide with your plan. Treat interruptions as data. When you miss days, ask, was the interruption avoidable? Could the outcome have been designed differently? The fault is rarely in life. It is often in a rigid plan that cannot flex. Build margins. If your days are packed, design micro-outcomes that fit into those pockets. Finally, a brief meditation on patience. People expect the dramatic improvement to arrive with a single pivot. Real change is quieter. It sounds like fewer excuses held over fewer weeks and more small completions stacked like coins. Each coin doesn't gleam, but together they form capital. So once more, in plain sequence, decide one clear goal with a deadline and a reason, design 3 daily outcomes you can start within 2 minutes, rehearse an affirmation plus visualization each morning, record 1 weekly metric and diagnose it, and create a tiny public accountability ritual. Act on them daily. Report weekly. Adjust monthly. If you want, repeat this scripted prompt now. Use it to tell one person your goal. Repeat silently or aloud. I am working toward insert your single sentence goal. Each week I will post 1 line updating my progress. I aim to be honest, consistent, and responsive to what the data shows. I welcome accountability. Say it now. You have begun something small but decisive. Comment your single sentence goal below. I will read them. I will pin one that is clear and brave. If you want the worksheet with the daily outcomes and weekly metric template, it's in the description. This work is not glamorous. It is deliberate. It asks for the small courage of repetition. If you take it, you will be surprised how quickly the world changes around you, not because the world is kinder, but because you have become more precise in the ways you move through it. Do the sentences. Do the outcomes. Keep the metric. Tell one person. Return next week with your number. I will be here to read it. Remember, 5 steps, 1 purpose. Begin.